So recently, I pulled the Haran Geppaku Futsu while summoning for the Elegy for the end. I don't have Ayato, so the best character I probably have to make use of this weapon is Keqing. Although her normal attacks aren't the biggest part of her kit, she does use N1 while charge attacking, and the high base attack, crit rate substat, and the elemental damage bonus passive might make this weapon a decent stat stick for her. Mistsplitter and Jade Cutter are definitely better for her and are much better pulls overall, as they are much less niche than Haran, which only Ayato makes full use of, but I'm sure that this weapon is still decent on Keqing. I'm going to be comparing Haran to the R5 Lion's Roar, which is currently Keqing's best 4-star weapon. I'd like to determine how good Haran is by testing how much damage it does compared to Lion's Roar. As for my Keqing stats, I'll be running 2-piece Gladiators and 2-piece Shimenawa. To balance out crit stats, as Haran has a crit rate substat, while Lion's Roar has an attack percent substat, I will be running Haran with this crit damage circlet, while running Lion's Roar with this crit rate circlet. Both circlets almost have an equal value of crit substat, as they both have 3 rolls into the crit substat. My Keqing stats with the Haran is 2124 attack, 78.9 crit rate, 212.8 crit damage, and 58.6 electro damage. My Keqing stats with the Lion's Roar is 2230 attack, 67.2 crit rate, 172.3 crit damage, and 46.6 electro damage. The testing dummy will be a level 84 Ruin Guard found north of Liyue Harbor. It will be paralyzed during all tests. I'll be utilizing Kazuha and Bennet in some of these tests. My Kazuha has 789 elemental mastery, so he'll be sharing 31.6 electro damage to Keqing, and he also has 4-piece Viridescent Veneer, so he'll shred 40% electro res. I have C2 Kazuha, but I won't be using his burst at all, so I'm using Kazuha as if he was at C0. My Kazuha brings my Haran Keqing from 58.6 electro damage to 90.2 electro damage. My Kazuha brings my Lion's Roar Keqing from 46.6 electro damage to 78.2 electro damage. My Bennet is C6 with a level 11 burst and 777 base attack, and he is also using 4-piece Noblesse Oblige. He takes my Haran Keqing from 2124 attack to 3289 attack. He takes my Lion's Roar Keqing from 2230 attack to 3374 attack. Fischl is just in the party to paralyze the Ruin Guard by hitting the weak point with her bow. As for testing, I will calculate Keqing's raw damage with both swords, with no external buffs, for the normal attack combo, N1 plus charge attack combo, the elemental skill final slash, and the elemental burst last attack. The reason that I am testing N1 plus charge attack is because when doing Keqing's charge attacks, she does 1 normal attack before doing 2 charge attack hits. Then I will test all of these again but with Kazuha's buff. Then I will test the elemental skill final slash and the elemental burst last attack with Bennet's buff, and then after that with both Bennet and Kazuha's buff. The reason I won't be testing normal and charge attacks with Bennet buffs is because I have C6 Bennet and I don't feel like testing Keqing's pyro damage. The Lion's Roar's damage numbers will be used as the base 100%, and Haran Geppaku Futsu's damage numbers will be compared to that. I will be using a delicious pile them up to share 20% crit rate to Keqing, just to make testing easier and more consistent.
そばにいた。
健康よ、世の乱れを切り尽くせ。陣営のごとく。はっ
参る。みんなは俺が守る。
我が剣よ、影に従え。
風よ、全力攻撃。
いけ。
参る。
行くわよ。よっはっ。健康よ、世の乱れを切り尽くせ。はっ
くらえ。風よ、
いけ。はっはっはっはっ。
燃えろ。行こう。
逃がさない。は
みんなは俺が守る。
健康よ、世の乱れを切り尽くせ。瞬く間に。
全力攻撃。
我が剣よ、影に従え。陣営のごとく。はっ。
On the XL, the red numbers are how much damage Keqing does, with the bolded number being the final value being taken into consideration. The green number is the damage percentage compared to the R5's Lion's Roar. So after testing the damage for both weapons with various buffs, we can see that an R5 Lion's Roar actually does more damage for almost everything except the full normal attack combo and the N1 charge attack combo with Kazuha buff. The Haran does about 1 to 5% less damage than the R5 Lion's Roar. However, the Haran comfortably does about 18% more damage than Lion's Roar R5 for the normal attack combo with and without Kazuha buff. This isn't surprising as normal attacks are obviously what Haran's passive buffs. For the N1 charge attack combo with Kazuha buff, Haran does 1.3% more damage than the R5 Lion's Roar, probably because the N1 of Haran does just enough damage for the entire N1 plus charge attack combo to overtake Lion's Roar's N1 charge attack damage. But 1.3% damage increase is very insignificant, especially when considering that is the damage increase a 5-star weapon provides over a 4-star, and for the other two main sources of damage, the Elemental Burst and Skill, the Lion's Roar does more damage. What I have to take into consideration is that my Haran build has 78.9 crit rate, which is 11.7 more crit rate than my Lion's Roar build, which has 67.2 crit rate. As I am crit fishing by testing the damage dealt during a crit, and since crit rate's ratio compared to crit damage is 1 to 2, if I made things completely fair by running Haran with the exact same crit rate as the Lion's Roar build, I would drop 11.7 crit rate and give the Haran build 23.4 crit damage. I recalculated the Haran Geppaku Futsu's build with an additional 23.4 crit damage added into it, and now it shows that Haran is actually more powerful than the Lion's Roar for all damage sources. Comparing the crit damage adjusted Haran Geppaku Futsu with the R5 Lion's Roar without any team buffs, the Haran's N1 plus charge attack is now 7.3% more powerful, and the elemental skill and elemental burst are now 2.15% more powerful. With Kazuha buffs, N1 plus charge attack is now 8.85% more powerful, and the elemental skill and elemental burst are about 4.4% more powerful. With Bennet buff, the crit adjusted Haran's elemental skill and elemental burst does 4.5% more damage than the Lion's Roar. With both Kazuha and Bennet buff, the Haran's elemental burst and elemental skill does 6.8% more damage. This is a noticeable damage increase from the non-crit damage adjusted, but in my opinion it is still not the damage increase you'd expect from a 5-star weapon. Also, even without adjusting the crit damage artificially for the Haran, it would still have overall higher DPS than the Lion's Roar, as the damage difference between the non-crit adjusted Haran build and the Lion's Roar is very minor, but the Haran build has 11.7 more crit rate. If I hit the opponent 10 times with the Haran build and the Lion's Roar build, I'll crit with the Haran build approximately once more than the Lion's Roar, which will lead to overall higher damage per second when both are compared in a time frame instead of crit fishing and testing for damage per screenshot. In conclusion, if you get the Haran Geppaku Futsu while wishing for Elegy for the end like me, or if you got it for Ayato, then yes, you can use it on Keqing as it is better than all 4-star options. But I don't recommend specifically aiming for Haran and pulling it to use only on Keqing. If you want to make Keqing as strong as possible, or if you're a Keqing main, save your Primo Gems and go for her best weapon, the Mistsplitter of Forged, as it is a much stronger option and is also best in slot for Ayaka, Bennet, and most other sword characters. Jade Cutter is also a better option as it is stronger than the Haran on Keqing, while also being stronger and a lot more versatile on other characters. Haran's normal attack boosting passive is only really taken advantage of to the maximum by Ayato, so other characters can't really utilize this weapon to the fullest. But I would say Haran on this weapon banner is a good compensation prize for Keqing if you got it while summoning for one of the best weapons in the game, the Elegy for the end, as there are much worse 5-star weapons to get in this game than the Haran.